Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast. This would be part two of Talking with Gracie. But before we go into that conversation, I wanted to say that this is episode 50 of my podcast, which is crazy. And I honestly just never expected that I would even record this much. It's something that I really wanted to do, but then I just thought I wouldn't really follow through with it or stick with it or whatever, and I have, and that's really awesome and exciting for me. Um, I really appreciate the people that take the time to listen and hang out, um, and the people that give feedback and just let me know that they're there and listening. That always, because I can't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know unless you tell me. Anyway, also, I'm taking a little bit of a break because episode 50 is the end of season one. Um, and I'm changing the podcast name, which you probably will have already noticed because it's all over the place on the files and stuff. So if you clicked on this to listen to it, then you would have noticed that. But I'm acknowledging it because I was never super happy with the name. I had a different name idea. It was taken. And then I kind of was like settling on the nose, except that was taken. And then I was like, well, I could do on le nose, le le, my initials, har har, right? But it just felt too, I don't know, like connected to the clowning. Clowning is something I do. Clowning isn't everything I do. It's it's something, it's like a hobby, but it's not a lifestyle for me. Um, and when you searched for it, it didn't come up. Like the other one, the on the nose would come up, but on the nose did not come up unless you scrolled really far down. So yeah. So now I have this name. It actually eh? uh and I like it because it feels accurate. Like I don't know how to do anything besides be myself. And so, you know, yeah. If you don't understand, just message me and I'll explain it. But I feel like, you know, it's understandable. Um so yeah. I'll be back in like 2 weeks or so, and start the new season. And anyway, enjoy the rest of the conversation and have a good weekend and a good following week. Yeah.
I I didn't know that was a thing with other people because I have that with and it's only in certain some games, not all games, but underground scenes like dungeons, I start feeling closed in and
Ooh,
claustrophobic.
underwater scenes.
And I'm
That
just
one
like,
will get me
oh,
too.
I'm like, I gotta finish this level, but I'm underground.
Yeah.
And even like I've been in caves before and not had a problem. Like I've walked through bat caves. I've been to, oh gosh, Carlsbad Caverns as a kid. It was fascinating. But
Yeah.
now it's like only in gaming in the caves. And I'm like, what is this? I don't know, but it feels bad. Feels like
Yeah.
lions are coming to get me, even though I'm perfectly safe in my living room.
Yep. Yeah, and Far Cry they have like Far Cry 5, yes, or 4, 5, maybe both. They have like some underground like caverns that are filled with water, and they have it where you need to swim just perfectly at the perfect speed or you will drown if you
Ah,
get through it. And you literally, like, the screen starts to get darker and you can hear like your character going,
ah,
oh, and I'm
and
like, I don't like
gasping
it.
and
And
yeah.
I'm all tense, my jaw will hurt and stuff because I'm like,
It's like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
yeah.
Oh wait,
So
I'm safe.
I don't play horror games. I love
Yeah,
horror movies. I've always liked horror stuff. After my son was born, I started getting sensitive to like So I stopped watching horror movies for a couple of years, but I enjoy them again as long as they're
Mhm.
good. Ones that rely on jump scare are lazy, so they annoy me. But good stories are important. But
Yeah.
games, I can't. Like even BioShock was a little bit too much for me in the beginning, but I adapted to the Big Daddies and then I got really into it and got through the games. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, some of those I tried playing that like Left for Dead or something. And I was like, nope, I'm gonna die. Like,
Yeah, I know Dead by Daylight's really popular right now, and I tried watching a few streamers play that, and I'm like, nah, it's not. I can't. I tried a few times to watch. I'm like, this is so gory. Just
yeah,
why would you want to go and try and kill other people? I just don't. I can't wrap my brain around it. Of course,
yeah,
then in Skyrim, I'm going after everybody with a damn flaming sword, and I'm like, cool with it.
yeah,
The correlation here, I don't understand my brain, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't mind the gore. It's really just like scary stuff. Like even in Death Stranding, the enemy things are like the BTs. They
Mhm.
I get like anxious, even though I have tools to deal with them. I still get like because they're just creepy. They're just, and
The creepy characters are.
I'm fully like bought into the creepiness of it. They did a good job with it and they're creepy. It I've been streaming on Twitch a little bit, like, but it's like I want to like build a schedule, but it's really hard
Mhm.
for me because the ADHD is like, oh, shiny, right? Like, so I got some crafting stuff and I'm starting to finally, my thyroid is calming down enough that I'm starting to feel better so I can actually do this stuff. So then
Yeah.
I got really excited and I started making a bunch of earrings and I'm like, well, I was going to game today, but I guess I just made 30 pairs of earrings. Cool. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know, so I need to figure out a schedule, but it's really hard for me because I get hyper fixated, right? So
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to do the thing, but I want to do the other thing. Uh, yeah. But
Yeah. It's
I
like
I
whichever is
do.
shiniest, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever's going to give me the most dopamine.
Mhm.
But I really I'm very isolated. So like talking to people for my podcast, which I only do like twice a month, um, is kind of my primary socializing. And then streaming in theory could help because people can jump in and say hi. It's mainly one of my friends who does it, but it's always nice to like, even if we're not actively talking, I feel like we're hanging out, which is that
Mhm.
sort of
Yeah.
that body doubling or parallel play thing, which is
Mhm.
a big thing for autistic people. It's very like quality time sort of thing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I like that. And it's interesting though, because I have this wall where when I go to stream, I feel like I'm giving up my alone time. So then I get a little bit stressed about that. But
Okay.
then once I
Yeah.
start doing it, there's the parallel play thing, which is very relaxing. So it's like, I think I
Mhm.
need to build a new association.
Yeah. That's a positive thing for me to hear because part of my holding back from streaming is kind of what you said. It's like I'm isolated, but if I want to be social, I can do the streaming. But it's like if I don't know the person, like people coming in and saying hi and they're strangers, I'm like, how do I deal with this? Okay.
Yeah. I
What
haven't,
persona do I use or put on? I mean, it would be the ASMR or gaming. That would or both
yeah.
together for me for streaming. It's like, but it's that not knowing who's going to be coming into chat, and I've seen some bad things happen in people's chats where it's like, I wish I was a mod. I could ban these thoughts and other just horrible, awful people. Um, and I fear that that's going to happen to me, and that's part of my, oh, I don't want to do this. But there's
Yeah.
so many people saying, Gracie, why aren't you doing this yet? I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I have so many people backing me. It's like on Twitch, I have over 70 followers. I haven't streamed yet, but it's like, oh, wow. Okay. Thanks, people. That's really
Wow.
awesome.
I think I've had my account for 2 years and I think I have like 25 streamers. So that's the fact that you haven't even streamed yet and you have that
Yeah.
many is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
I lurk
yeah.
a lot in ASMR streams. And so when I do say anything in chat, they're like, Gracie, oh my gosh, everybody, here's Gracie. You need to go follow her. She's amazing. It happens regularly in one person's chat, and he's such a sweetheart. And Yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
actually looking forward to, now this hasn't been like announced in our little community, but I will be meeting a few ASM artists later this year. We're doing a little meetup, and I'm really
Awesome.
excited about it.
That's
Yeah,
really
none
cool.
of us have talked about it in the communities, but it's because I think we're gonna just wait a little bit, or maybe just post about it after the fact. I don't know. We never really discussed it, but um, I kind of reached out to a few people, and they agreed, and it's like, well, then let's do this. And then more people were like, hey, we're in the area too. So it's like, awesome. So
That's
yeah,
so
it'll be
fun.
really fun. It's, yeah, yeah.
That's yeah, I don't have like that social whatever. Like I everybody knows who I am and people have
Mm-hmm,
nice things to say about me, but the people who really tend to actively support me are very quiet, don't have like much social media or anything like that. So they support me directly, but
mm-hmm,
I don't get the help to like, I have one friend that she's got a pretty big following and she shares my stuff all the time and she gets so frustrated because she'll get a certain amount of views, but as soon as she
mm-hmm.
shares my stuff, she gets like no views. Like always my stuff tanks. Like, and she's just like, why? Like
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
and I
It's like,
really
just,
appreciate I've like, and I've watched other people like grow a little bit because they have that social thing. And I feel like
mm-hmm,
I don't connect with people in the right way. I don't think it's that people don't like me. I just feel like I don't connect in a way that makes people think I should help her grow, right? Like it's like I just seem very self-sustained and stuff
mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah,
Um, and and it's I don't know, it's weird. So it's always I feel like it doesn't work well for me on the social media part because it's like I need that in order to succeed with the stuff that I'm doing, but I just don't socialize the right way. I don't know what I'm not doing or
I
whatever,
don't
but
know. Yeah, it's beyond me. Like I struggle with the Instagram and posting. Like I look at it and I'm like,
yeah.
but
I
I still do
it's
it. I still make myself do it. And at the point where I'm finished with the reel or the post, I'm like, hey, I did a thing. Okay.
Yep.
It's just like that little baby step. And I'm going to be doing that for baby steps for a while. It's like posting every day. I applaud people who can do that. I'm just like, I don't have
I
the
used to post
energy.
3 times a day.
I
Like,
remember your feed. Well, I'm not on TikTok, but on Instagram, I'd see like puppets and clowncore and all this fun stuff coming through. I'm like, yeah, go Leigh.
yeah, now it's like once a day or once every other day or something. It's way less. And a part of it is because I wasn't getting enough support to make it feel like that much work was worthwhile. So
Mm-hmm.
I backed off and I make my content last a lot longer so I don't, but yeah, on
Yeah.
Instagram, the clown community has like absorbed me and they're all really nice when we interact and stuff. But they have their cliques and they're all a lot most of them are much younger.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can talk to them, but I'm like, why is Oprah clown or whatever. It's so, but it's so that's cool for Instagram. That's made it easier to post in the beginning. It was like weird, especially because a lot of my friends started following me and I was like doing the
Mm-hmm.
clown stuff. And I was like, because before that, I didn't really put myself in front of the camera that much, right? So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I did photography for years and years, and I never really put like, and sometimes even now when I post the pictures, I feel like I'm being incredibly narcissistic, but that's
Your
literally
stuff
how
is
humans
great.
are. Like humans are narcissistic. We love attention and we evolved that way. And the attention, it comes from connecting in the community with each other. So it's not,
Mm-hmm.
there are people who do it and it's is narcissistic in a really like toxic way. And then there's sort of like being narcissistic to connect and it's not toxic because you're not neglecting other people or being rude or whatever. But like it's so hard making myself take up that space, because I've
Yeah.
thought about it in a certain way for a long time. But I'm like, you know what? I deserve to take up the space everybody else has. I have been neglected of attention most of my life because made myself small and I didn't want to inconvenience other people or seem selfish or like if a
Mm-hmm.
friend
Yeah.
had had like a camera lens they were giving away that I could really use, and they would be like, "Hey, I'm giving this away." I would never ask for it because I would feel like I was being selfish or something, right? And then other people would do it, and I'd be like, "Why can't I do that?" And now I'm just at this point where I'm just like, "Could you please share my shit, please?" Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I
Yeah.
don't know how much of that's because when you start going through perimenopause, one of the things that happens as your hormones change is there's like a give a fuck hormone that goes,
Yes.
we have
Yeah.
less of as we get older. And
Yes.
if that's what it is, thank you. But
Yes. I've started reaching that. It was like the past 6 months. And it's like my give a fuck meter is just like, yeah. It's like, you see my hand? This is how many fucks I give. It is none. No fucks. I don't care.
the only fucks I give are made out of wood and they're earrings that I sell in my shop.
There you go. There you
I
go.
don't give them, I sell
Very good.
them.
But I do want to say about your clown content. And I might have mentioned this to you. I don't know. I can't remember. But for years, I had a fear of clowns. And through watching your journey with clown, you're doing your clown content, it helped me to get over my fear of clowns. Thank you.
That's awesome. I actually
Because
love it when people tell me that.
it was like really bad. And it started, and it's my own damn fault for watching Stephen King's It. Tim Curry's Pennywise frightened
Amazing.
me.
Amazing.
Frightened me. It was so good. I was just like, I can't even look at Ronald McDonald anymore. And I was, I think, 12 or 13 when that miniseries came out. And I read the book It at the same time, so I would know what to expect. I should not have read that book at that age.
Yeah.
I know better
Well,
now, but it's too late for that.
the mini series came out when I want to say it came out when I was doing the live-in care when I was like 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
And I read the book. The books came out like because I read the book twice. Once when I was
Yeah.
11, once when I was 12. That was like the book was really important to me when I was a kid. But yeah, okay, so I have a theory about why clown makeup bothers people. Specifically the more traditional clown makeup you see in
Mm-hmm.
circuses, Pennywise and
The
stuff.
circus clowns too. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
they so they wear all their makeup really heavy so you cannot see like their eyebrows or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
then the makeup itself has a forced facial expression for you
Oh
to
yeah.
interpret, but their face could be doing anything else and we can't quite pick up on those like subtle cues and it's very
Yeah.
uncomfortable, right? So
Okay.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's part of it. And one of the things that I do with my makeup is I make sure that my facial expression is what controls the makeup. My makeup doesn't control
Mm-hmm.
my facial expression.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my emoting is never changed by the makeup. And I do that because um the other type of clown makeup always made me a little bit uncomfortable because I couldn't it never like I remember going to circus when I was relatively small. I'm maybe like 9 or 10. And
Mm-hmm.
the clowns, I remember telling one of the adults that I didn't believe they were having fun because their facial expressions were not clear to me, you know, and it just kind of stuck with me. And yeah,
Yeah.
so that's my theory. I don't have any proof on it, but I just read a thing saying that the Ringling Brothers Circus got rid of clowns because of people being afraid of them.
Wow.
And so now they just have some jugglers and stuff. And I feel like they could have just tried a different look, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Because some people rely on that as a profession, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Plus, not everybody's scared of clowns, and the reasons for it, they could have just played with it and seen what happened, and
yeah,
instead they're like, we're just going to get rid of clowns completely. And I'm like, then you're not a circus, okay?
yeah. There is that.
They got rid of the animals, which is great because, the
Yes.
animals didn't
Oh,
sign up for that, but
they did no.
the
Yeah.
clowns did.
Exactly. And I'm like tapping back into my childhood going to the circus and the clowns with the really heavy white makeup and they had the smiles painted on. And exactly what you're saying is like you can maybe see if they're frowning or just had a straight, just I'm doing the thing,
but
but
you're still
you
getting
see the
this.
smile.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's not necessarily translating as to what the truth is. And so, yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched Them. Have you watched that? It's like
No.
a horror series. If you ever watch it, the second season, you don't even need to watch. The first season's not that great. The second season is really, they got way better. Well worth watching. But there's a character in it that has blackface, and he the makeup is just, oh, it's so creepy. Like, and the way he
Uh-huh.
uses his mouth, and it's that same kind of like clown thing where, the
Mhm.
facial expressions being forced by the makeup, but then he really uses his face to like lean into what the makeup's doing to his face. And I just like, I would like get these goosebumps when I was watching
Oh.
it, and I was like, he's so good, but I hate it. I don't like it. Just yeah. I think he's called the tap dancing man, is like what the character's name is. So if you ever
Okay.
want to look him up, it's
I
yeah.
might do that because I mean, like I said, I mean, unless a clown came at me with a machete or something, then I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm done now. But I
Yeah.
think like
I I feel, you remember there was like the scare clowns that was like a whole thing for a couple of years, and there were all those
yeah.
reports, and I feel like that
Oh my
fed
gosh.
into the,
Yeah.
and it made it popular to be like hate on clowns, to be scared of them, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I think some people
yeah.
aren't actually scared of clowns. It's like more just like a fad thing, if that makes sense.
It does. I mean, I do remember watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the movie, when I was younger, and it was so bizarre, and they were kind of scary looking.
That movie was so
It's just
funny. Like,
I know it was just like what's going on? Okay, it wasn't scary, but it was just a little unsettling. But I
yeah.
mean, at the same time, it was good. It was
Yeah.
so random, like
Like,
80s, I think, or it was late 70s, maybe. Somewhere in
yeah, I
there.
don't
But
know. Them and Gremlins, and there was a
yeah.
couple others that were like House. That was another good one.
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
remember watching a house marathon with friends in junior high. We watched all of them for a sleepover weekend. And I did that with Freddy the Nightmare on Elm Streets too. I think they were at the one that was you had to wear the glasses, the 3D one, so maybe
Oh
five
yeah.
or six, but we just spent a weekend watching all of them.
Yeah.
It was yeah, it was heavy duty.
I love
At
those.
the
And
end, I'm like, I'm not scared of Freddy anymore. He's
yeah.
just
I always like had this sympathy for the bad guys because they were broken to end up being the bad guys. And I think it comes from the fact that, like, in horror movies, there's so much character development around the bad guys, so it's easier to sort of humanize them. You don't even get that much character development for superheroes. They're just good because they're good. I mean, they're boring.
yeah.
That's why I don't collect superhero stories unless they're like gritty, because they're not, they're not
Mhm.
interesting.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. There's like, I liked Hellraiser as well. I read the book before I ever saw the movie, and when the movie came out, I was super like excited to watch it.
Mhm.
I love Clive Barker's
He's got
writing.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started reading Stephen King when I was 7 or 8. So my mom had some of his books, and then I've read almost every. I think I'm behind on his most recent stuff, but I've read like literally everything else. And if there's TV shows based on his
Yep.
stuff, I'll watch it. I couldn't get through The Mist though. I just
I
couldn't. It
don't
was
think I've
awful.
watched that. I think yeah, I was a little bit older when I started reading Stephen King's books and then Dean Koontz too. And I read like pretty much like you, like almost all of Stephen King's stuff up until the one that broke me that I really didn't like and I stopped. I was like, I'm done here. It was Gerald's Game. I
Oh,
did
I
not
love that
like
one.
that one. I just am like, this no, just all no, not for me. And I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm done with this. And I had moved on. I'd gotten older too, so I'd moved on to different genres. But it
Yeah.
was just like, but for a while it was Dean Koontz, um, and Stephen King. That was just like, and then of course all the miniseries that came out on TV. So I still have my VHS collection, and on it I have taped from the TV Storm of the Century, which is an amazing Stephen King miniseries that, I mean, I watch it again if my VCR would work, but it's
Yeah.
it's
I
it's a
think I
good
saw
one.
that on the streaming the other day,
Oh,
actually.
if they have that, I should watch that one
Yeah.
again because
I
that is
just
just so good.
yeah, I watched Haven, which was good, and then I just finished Castle Rock, and the second season of that
Oh,
had what's her face from Misery in it when she was younger, and so it's like a prequel kind of showing her character development.
that Kathy Bates's character?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun. And the first season I was like it had Bill Skarsgård in it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I've heard
that
the
was
name,
cool.
I couldn't picture him, yeah.
Yeah, he played Pennywise in the new It.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have seen. I think I saw pictures of it and like, nope, look away, just look away. Not here
I
yet, not
like
there yet.
I didn't I yeah, so the books, because I mentioned they were very important to me when I was a kid,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
the miniseries, the first one was disappointing except for Tim Curry. Like the way that he
He's
played was
good.
perfect, right? But the way that
Yes.
they sort of told the story like missed some of the things that I felt like were important in the book.
Yeah.
Um
Okay. Yeah.
and it's not, I don't like when I watch a movie or a TV series and it's based on a book, I don't expect it to be the same. I kind of always treat it as like a multiverse situation, so I'm very
Hmm.
open to.
Yeah.
But there were just things that were, because like the ingredients of it were that Pennywise was going after this group of kids who are all being like abused in different ways and parts of their lives and stuff, and they had sort of like built this bond and this friendship and stuff, and there was just like that was such a big part of the character development and that was like missing. So that was
Hmm.
frustrating for me when I watched it. The second one, or the newer one, they did a lot better in being true to that. But
Okay.
I didn't like Pennywise. It didn't vibe the same. Like it. So I was like, if we could just take the other Pennywise and put it in with, it would
Yeah.
be perfect.
There you
But
go. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
And going back to horror movies, I'm not a big fan of them, but I did watch Five Nights at Freddy's not too long ago.
I haven't seen that one.
I really liked it because once the story came out about the what I thought was supposed to be like the bad characters were the animatronic animals. Once the storyline came out about them, I was like, oh no, I'm team animals now. Let's do this. And it's supposed to be this scary, and I'm like, I wasn't scared at all. And like I had the
Yeah.
volume up too. I'm like, okay, I know there's jump scares, and I'm like, have I gotten to that a point where I'm like, meh, which is good because I mean, previously I'd be like leaving the room or hiding behind a pillow or throwing things because of jump scares. I have been known to throw things across the room because I'm like, what the hell just happened here? And then it's
I,
like lions are coming at me in my living room.
yeah. I have a friend that I used to watch horror movies with, and he was like that. He would like be underneath the blanket and he would flip out, and the blanket would go flying, or his phone would go flying. It's so funny. Like I would watch
It's
the
like
movies with him just for that. Like,
you don't mean to do it. It just happens where it's like, oh, okay, that just happened. And my brain went, ah.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I
But
made the
that was
mistake
a
of
good one.
seeing World War Z in the theater. I
Okay.
just
That the
and
zombie one?
yeah, and
Okay.
they relied really heavily on suspense buildup, which I don't care for because it's not necessary. It's already obvious when you're in a stressful situation that there's suspense, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't need to do all that. And so they kept doing the jump scare suspense thing. And so you'd know it was coming. You just didn't know, is it 3 seconds from now or 30 seconds from now? And so by the
Mhm.
end of the movie, my son and I saw it together. By the end, we both had stomach aches and our shoulders hurt. And I was just like, yeah,
Oh,
that
because
was,
so tensed up and oh
yeah,
gosh.
because you're like anticipating what you already know is coming. And so it was
Mhm.
not, I did not enjoy that movie at all. Um, there's a movie called House at the End of Time. It's a horror film, foreign. and it's all story driven. It's not about like jump scares and stuff. Really good. I really enjoyed that movie.
Oh,
Like if you ever want to watch something that isn't going to like make you throw stuff, that's it's and just has an interesting like story.
okay.
That's a good one.
Because I one of my favorite directors is Guillermo del Toro, and he does horror movies, a lot of in Spanish language, and they're like that. It's more story driven. There's no real big jump scares, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's very rich characters. And plus, he has a way of like he uses certain props over and over in all of his movies and certain lighting things, and I'm like, ooh, this is cool. Scary movie, but it's like he's done Mimic and Hellboy. Those movies were he directed, and Blade two, I think it was one of the Blade movies, but it was just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And then a bunch of like Pan's Labyrinth. It's that kind of
Yeah.
like he does creature kind of movies where there's
Yeah.
actually one actor named Doug Jones who does a lot of those creatures. Like they put him in makeup and he's the one who he's very tall and gangly and he walks a certain way and he's very creepy as he walks. And he's in a lot of Guillermo del Toro's movies and it's like, oh, this is cool. If it's both of them together, then it's like I've got to watch it. Even if I'm going to sit here with the blanket pulled up and like peek through it, I'm like, I'm going to get this.
Yeah. Pan's
So it's
Labyrinth
like,
was really cool. Like
yeah,
I like the Blade movies too, just because they're silly, you
yeah,
know.
and like
Yeah.
vampires, and but as long as they're not sparkly, I'm cool with vampire
Yeah.
movies.
Oh, what's
I
I
know,
okay.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I never watched any of the Twilight
Are you
movies
lucky? So
until
lucky.
I went
Oh,
and
we should
saw
sneak
Mystery
in.
Science Theater live with Weird Al. And I that's the only time I saw a Twilight movie, and it was still boring. The
But
jokes were
Weird
great, but
Al,
the yeah, it was like
Weird
Weird
Al.
Al and
Oh my gosh.
what's his face? He did the donkey in Happy. What's that guy's voice? The I can't remember his name right
Donkey,
now.
Donkey,
Yeah.
and Happy
Yeah.
in
Did you ever
the
watch that show?
MST. I
Huh?
did, I did,
Yeah.
and there
Yeah,
was
the
two
guy.
hosts. There's like
Well, there's the this TV series called Happy, and
oh, a TV
what's
series called Happy. That I didn't
yeah,
watch,
hold
but
on.
Mystery
I
Science
can find
Theater
him.
3000. I used
Yeah,
to watch
they're
that one a lot.
let's see.
That was fun one.
I'm like the cast. Why isn't he at the top? Patton Oswalt.
Oh
There we
yeah,
go.
okay. That
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was that was great. It was like in San Francisco. It was like a fun experience, but it's the only reason that would be worth watching any of those movies because they're, like if I'm gonna watch like romanticize like vampire stuff with unhealthy emotional boundaries and all that bullshit, I'm gonna watch Anne Rice shit. Okay.
Yep. Vampire in Brooklyn is a good one for that too.
Yeah.
It's the Eddie Murphy plays the vampire, so it's just like he has a minion that is like got some disease and he starts falling apart. Oh, leprosy or return. He's dead basically. Body parts are falling off, but he's like, "Okay, boss,
Yeah.
I'm going to drive you somewhere." And then he has like one arm and one leg or something like that. I'm like, "This is an awesome 80s movie." I
Yeah.
love 80s movies, so it's just like they're so bizarre and is before the CG, the computer stuff really took off. I mean, there's some stuff in there, but not
Yeah.
like heavily reliant on that.
Yeah. Did you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I have seen a few of those episodes, which I
So the
really have liked, but
yeah.
I
So
haven't
the
spent a lot of
movie it's based on the movie that came out, but it didn't wasn't released here, and I
Mhm,
really wanted it. So I the only way I couldn't even find it to torrent. It was like not anywhere. And so my friend in the
mhm,
UK bought it for me, sent it to me. I changed the area whatever thing on my
mhm, yeah,
computer, ripped it, so I had the file, then sent him the movie back so he could just keep the DVD,
uh-huh.
and then would like I very rarely watch movies more than once, but I have watched that movie like 20 times. I like
That's
love
nice.
that movie so much. So when the series came out, I was like, I don't know, but it's great. It's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
But the
Yeah,
movie is definitely
worth
worth the
watching.
2 hours. Yeah.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun. So funny. Like it's just I don't it's just I don't know. It's so silly and such dry humor.
Yes. I do like that. It's like you have to think a little bit and you're like, "Did you just insult me? Or are you Right?
Yeah, they have
It's
another
just witty.
series
Yeah.
that's like based on, so there's two police officers that keep showing up at their house in the movie, and then they end up making a TV series based on those police officers dealing with supernatural stuff in their community, and that's even drier. It's just like, and the sometimes the fact that the actors can keep a straight face
Ah.
is like, I'm just like, how did you get through that? Like how many
Oh
takes? And you
yeah.
can usually tell because actors will have like the leftover smile lines, you know,
Mhm.
when
Yep.
they've done retakes, and sometimes they don't have that. And I'm like, they got through that. Like
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, before we run out of steam, we should do the question thing.
Okay.
Do the new segment. So for
Okay.
everybody, this is something that I've been planning on doing, which is to be asking my guests some questions, and the answers will only be available to my patrons because I'm an asshole. And then eventually I might be willing to invest in some of the nicer art, and
Yeah.
because some of
Yep.
that stuff,
Yep.
and then I could be like get anime for and knowing that it's one of my friend's favorite anime, and then be like, here's some art,
Yep.
you know. That would
Yep.
be
Yep.
cool. It's fun. Yeah, I just, for
Yeah.
some reason, Facebook showed me ads for the diamond art today, which is never done before, but it's probably because it was showing me the paint by numbers stuff, and it was
Yeah.
a website that's going out of business or whatever. I never know if those are real, but
I try to tell myself no, it's not real because the comments say, yeah, this has been going on for 2 years. Try.
yeah,
It's like you've been
yeah,
saying you're going out of business for so long. Are you really? No. It's
yeah.
just a
It's
good
like the
marketing
furniture
ploy.
stores that have been
I
going out
got
of
an
business.
ad. I got an ad the other day that a local furniture store is liquidating, must sell everything. I'm like, are you sure? Or is it just like a ploy? You're gonna relocate and open again? It's like,
Yep. That's what
but yeah.
window companies like for houses, they do that. They will sell windows for about 10 years, and then they change the company name and all of that stuff so that they're a new company, and so that they don't have to honor the warranties that they sold.
Oh,
So if
wow.
you ever own a house and you're going to buy windows, make sure you buy from a company that's been in business for over 20 years.
Did you learn that while you had it home or owned a home?
Yeah,
Or is it
I
just kind
bought
of
from a company that, like, I did the research and learned that and went,
mhm.
"Oh, okay." And so then I bought from a company that had been selling in the Bay Area for like 30 something years, and they did lifetime warranties.
Oh, there you
Um
yeah.
yeah, so I had a bunch of companies come out, including Sears, and I started reading into the Sears stuff because they really hype up their warranties, but they're only like 10 years or whatever, and it ends up there's a bunch of limitations and like all this
Hmm,
stuff. And then I was like, that's how I end up learning about it, was through that.
that's
So
cool.
yeah, just random weird stuff that, yeah.
Mhm.
Also, windows are very expensive. So
I believe it. I've got
yeah.
some really nice double paned ones at this place. It's like they're very nice to look. They do their thing.
Yeah, a double pane is nice. The apartment we're in has double pane, and they're not super high quality, but a lot of the apartments don't have double pane yet. They like when people move out, they upgrade things.
Yeah,
So it's nice to have that because it does make a big difference. My
heck
house
yeah.
had the original 1957 windows when I bought the
Oh
house, and the
gosh.
front room had six windows that went from about 3 inches off the floor to about 3 inches from the ceiling. So they were taller than me. They were like really huge windows. And there were six of them side by side. And that requires you have to get a special, the glass has to be tempered in a certain way so that it won't shatter if they go that close to the ground. There's like, so it like
Wow.
doubled the cost. And but oh my God, the difference the night when they put them in, they installed them, but they hadn't sealed around them. They were coming back the
Hmm.
next day to do that. And I'm sitting in the front room and it's just silent. You can't hear the wind anymore. You can't smell the dog shit from next door. It was just like, I was like, whoa, like best $30,000 spent ever. Like,
I was trying. Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to remember which house it was. Like, I'm like, which location was it that she's talking about? And then you mentioned the dogs, the evil neighbor from the with the dogs. Okay, it
Yeah.
was that house.
Yeah. Yeah. That was,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
That,
saga that. Oh my goodness.
yeah. It was like
Yeah,
the people behind me, they were backyard breeding. So they kept adding more dogs and then they didn't pick up the dog shit. And then the
yeah.
person next to me had a dog and it was the same kind of thing, but they would clean up the dog shit every couple of weeks with Fabuloso. And I can't really tell you which was worse, having the Fabuloso come into
Oh,
my house or the dog shit with the dog howling outside. Like I actually got
mm-hmm.
written up at work when I was working at home because the dog wouldn't stop howling.
And it's you're like,
And
it's my neighbor's dog. It can't do
yeah,
anything. Yeah,
exactly.
wow.
And it stressed my dog out so much she started peeing on the floor in the house whenever the dog did that. So it
Yeah.
was like, I was just like, okay. And this is why I have anxiety issues around like dealing with my neighbors, is all those years of dealing with neighbors who, no matter how much I communicated with them, absolutely would not change what they're doing. And when they broke
Mm-hmm.
the law, like having a loud system, like a sound system in an area where it was illegal, the cops didn't care, you know?
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, well, this is great. So I was very happy
Yeah.
to sell the house and get out, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
just I wanted to sell it to like a really big family or something that would be really noisy and annoying and stuff like, but I wasn't, that wasn't who made the best offer. So
Yeah. You're like, well, here you go. I'm sure I mean, they would have figured it out. I mean, right quick, like, oh, okay, that's where the smell's coming from.
yep,
Yeah, that was years that you were there.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like I moved in 2012 and then sold in 2019. Yeah, yeah. So that was, I moved out after the one tenant started stalking me and I couldn't handle it. And I was like, I got,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just
Ugh.
rented my room out and got away. I was just like, there's no
Yeah.
more people, just no more
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I need to do, I keep thinking about like writing out like little, like my stories about different housemates so I can like do like little story time or something here on the podcast, but I just haven't gotten, my brain doesn't
yeah.
want to think about it that much, even though I
Because
have
you go
such good
back and think
stories.
of it. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, but I got to think about it and actually
Yeah.
like visualize the feelings I had during the moment. And
Yep.
it's bringing that up sometimes. It's like, yeah, that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
Cool. Um, I was gonna say something. Oh, I was gonna say, we'll have to do this again, like later in the year, maybe after you have your meetup and have started
Yeah.
streaming and stuff, and we can, and then let me know if you have, well, your YouTube link for sure. I'll put that into the description so everybody you can
Okay.
look at that and you can subscribe. And
Appreciate
if
it.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, if you have anything else that you want me to share, just send me the links and I will add those as well. And um,
Okay. Cool.
yeah,
Yeah. This was a lot of fun.
yeah,
It's
I
been
had a
so
lot of
long since
fun.
we've caught up. So it's like I've been looking forward to chatting with you regardless if it was via a podcast or not. So
Yeah, agreed. I feel like the last time we talked was in person. Met up with you, I think where you were living, but we stayed outside and talked and you were wearing overalls. But I
oh
don't
my god,
but
that
I
was so
don't
long ago.
but I don't remember why we met up. Like I think I was giving you something or you were giving me something or
Was it
I can't,
holiday season?
I don't
I
know.
remember the holiday season where we did meet up. I do remember meeting you at your the house you owned and we went out and got yogurt or smoothies maybe. Like we went to a shopping center and did that and kind of low key visited.
I don't
But
remember
yes,
that. It
it
had,
was many many years ago.
well, it had to have been while like during the height of my illness, right? And
yeah,
like I
yeah,
probably, part of the reason why we got that was because I was on a liquid diet.
yep, yep.
So my
That was
memory during that time is not so good because I was starving and very sick. So
yeah, that I do remember that. It was just like, oh my gosh, yeah,
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
overalls, my goodness, it's were they the big Oshkosh bagoshes because I
Yeah, yeah,
didn't have a
yeah.
pair of
They
those.
were denim. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just remember thinking like I wish that I could wear over I've always wanted to wear overalls and I always just felt like my body was the wrong shape for it. And then a couple years ago, I just started wearing them and I don't give a fuck.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're comfy. It's like you can totally do like that late 80s, early 90s. You leave one part of it unbuckled and you're like,
I
yeah, that's
can't.
right.
I
I
need the
dig
kids.
it.
I can't have, yeah. Doing that
I
would be
did do
like wearing two different socks. It's not, you can't. It feels wrong.
I did do that a few times when I was a kid because I loved Punky Brewster. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it because, well, for one, it was dark and I did accidentally do it and then went with it a few
Yeah.
times later. I'm like, well, everyone at school's seen it. So I'm just gonna make it a thing for a little while. So it seems
It's
like
like
I
if you
did
wear
have
the
those.
right top, it's like I could see how it's cute. It just for me is like a sensory thing. I just
Yeah. Yeah. I've worn day glow socks with like non-mat.
oh
Yeah,
my
it was
God.
awful. I had someone yell at me from across the parking lot or something like that about my socks. And I was just like, I can't. Don't
I
yell
like
at me about my socks, but they were bright yellow. They were the day glow, like
I
yellow.
used
And it's
to
like,
in seventh grade, I used to wear the day glow type like fluorescent stuff and I would wear two different they have to be the same socks so the texture's the same but I'd wear two different colors of the same kind of socks and
mhm.
then like a shirt or something and I did it because it pissed people off. It was like so I would go to school just and then when I started doing my hair blue it was just it was like somebody threw up on me and it was great. I was just like
Like, I'm
you know
expressing myself. Fuck you.
I had no sense of I wore whatever I felt like wearing. I never, I'd see kids that had style and I just was like, I don't even know how they decide to wear it. It doesn't, my brain does not, I wear what I want. And I still do
Yeah,
that. You know, and the benefit is I've spent most of my life being comfortable in every
yeah,
situation,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and other people are like, oh, I need to take my shoes off. Well, these pants are really chafing, and I'm like, ha,
I went through that phase where it's like wearing the uncomfortable clothes so I can fit in and look cute. And I was like, oh, but it just feels so wrong.
yeah.
Exactly. It's
I
like
just,
pants feel awful, and then I gotta take the shoes off because 'cause they're hurting my feet, and it's like now I'm like, yeah, I'm getting the comfy shoes. I don't wear heels. I mean, mostly
yep.
because I broke my leg at one point, a little over 10 years ago, and it's just having any sort of incline hurts that foot. So I'm like, all right, we're done with that. We're done trying to be
Yeah.
taller. I am 5'2", and I accept that, and I'm cool with it. It's like, you know,
I never liked high heels. And then when I read about how they impact the joints and the legs through the lower back, I was like, I'm
yeah.
no, I just don't, I have some for pictures for my spicy stuff,
Mhm.
but I don't walk in them. I put them on for the pictures and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I usually just wear like boots or socks. I don't usually even put the heels on. And just every now and again I'll be like, it would be funny if I put heels on.
Yeah. I did have a pair of heels that were like super clacky, and both of my cats, the one hissed at me because she didn't like the sound they were making. The other one kind of looked at me and then ran off, and it was like, okay,
Yeah.
I won't be wearing these again because obviously they're like, this, what's going on here? What are you
Yeah.
doing, lady? Like
When
legit had a cat hiss at me because of the shoes I was wearing. Like,
so I have a no shoe policy in my house and like around getting ready to move or whatever that will lax, right? And so
mhm,
I have learned that my cat Amos, he gets scared if I'm wearing shoes in the house because it sounds different than what he's used to. So he'll
yeah.
just be like, "Oh," and he like runs away and he's not particularly skittish, so it's kind of interesting. What are your cats' names?
Well, right now, I just have the one cat, but these cats were like years and years ago. My cat's name is Carl Sagan
Okay.
after the
Awesome. That's right.
astrophysicist. Yep.
Yeah. That's right. And my friend Liz, her cat is named Sagan, as
Oh,
well.
nice.
So
Very
yeah.
nice.
So I
Yeah.
remember when you told me that, I was like, oh, that's so cool because it's such, such a
It's unique. It's
yeah,
actually it's really unique because like when people hear, oh, it's Carl Sagan, and they're like, wait, what? And I'm like,
yeah.
yes, that's right. That's
Do you
right.
do you listen to? I don't know if you listen to podcasts much. There's the one by Neil deGrasse Tyson, the Star Talk.
I've heard a few of those.
Yeah,
I
they're
do know
I
he does
really
that.
enjoy
Yeah.
them. I have like 3 or 4 podcasts I listen to if I'm in my car, and
Mhm.
that's definitely one of them because it makes me laugh, but also it's just interesting to hear shit that's so far above like my education level that like,
Mhm.
ooh, yeah,
You're like, "Oh, and that's a thing," and it actually is a thing. It's not someone
yeah,
speculating, it's like, there's the hard science behind it, and here, let me explain this to you.
yeah,
Yeah, I do
exactly.
like that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So cool. I'm gonna wrap it up and then
Alright.
I will send you info when I'm getting ready to post it in terms of schedule
Oh,
and thank you again for coming on. I'm
oh,
really
yeah.
glad it worked out and I had a really great time and I will talk to you online, but I look forward to doing this again too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, me too. Thanks again for inviting me on. I appreciate
sure.
it.
You're welcome. Okay. Bye.